Today I'm going to show you how to use Adobe Photoshop to hand paint an image. To begin with, you want to make sure that on Adobe Photoshop you have your workspace set to painting. For today we are going to be using our paint tool to paint our image. To begin with, you should decide which areas of your image you would like to have painted. For this image, I've decided that I would like to paint my cat's eye green. So, using the quick selection tool, I'm going to, it's right here, my quick selection tool. I'm going to select his eye, and it takes a little bit of practice to get it exactly where you want it to be. So let's see if I can get this cleared. There we go. Clean it up a little bit here. And once you have the eye selected to the way that you would like it to be, you're going to save this selection so you don't have to go back and restart over again should you accidentally deselect the area that you were working on. So I'm going to go to Select, Save Selection, and I'm going to call this Eye. That way I remember that that's the selection I used for his eye, and hit OK. Next, I'm going to go and select the area for his tongue that I also want to hand color in. So again, using my quick selection tool, I'm going to select the area of his tongue and go to Select, Save Selection, and call this Tongue, and hit OK. Now, before you begin painting, you have to create a layer for each area that you're going to paint. So first I can take off my selection with Command D. I'm going to go to Layer, New, Layer. And this layer I will call Eye, so I know that's where I'm going to paint the eye, and hit OK. Next, I'm going to go Layer, New, Layer, and I will call this Tongue because this is where I'm going to paint the tongue. Now, it's important that you select the layer that corresponds with the area that you're going to paint. So I've selected Eye. I can go to my Select, Load Selection, and select the eye that I had saved, and hit OK. And as you can see, it brought back my selection. I'm going to zoom in, and then here from my color palette, I can decide which color I wish to choose. His was more of an olive green, and you could also double click here if you wanted to select a different shade of green. I'm going to stick with my original olive green. I'm going to grab my paintbrush. And for this, even though I've selected the whole eye, I'm still only going to paint the edges where the green occurred naturally. So I'm going to follow that line as I paint it. There we go. Now, right now, if I zoom out, it doesn't look very realistic. I prefer a more subtle hand-painted look. So on this layer for the eye, I'm going to click for the opacity, and I'm going to lower the opacity, allowing the image to show through from underneath until I get a nice, natural, subtle look to the image. So that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to move on to paint the tongue. So I click on my tongue layer. I'm going to go to Select, Load Selection, and I'm going to click on the tongue where I had saved it and hit OK. So you can see it brought up my tongue selection. And now I'm going to click on a pink. There's all these different shades of pink. I chose a more grayed to match the more grayed look of the eye. Again, with my brush tool, I'm going to just paint this in. Now this is a small brush. You can go and click and increase the size of your brush so it'll cover a larger area. You want to make sure you cover it in nice and even. And then again, I'll zoom in so I can take a closer look. And then I'm gonna adjust the opacity for this until, again, it's very subtle and I can see the photograph through the painting. And once I have that, I'll zoom out to see if it looks good. I think that looks pretty good right there, so I'm happy with it. Command D will take off that selection. And now I can zoom in and look closely at the tongue and see that there's some rough edges here, and there's a little part here that I went over the line. So to smooth out the rough edges, I'm going to select my smudge tool. It's a little finger with a hand. I usually use it at 50% strength, and I will just come up to the edges and kind of work my mouse forward and backward. And you can see that it's starting to blend that edge of the tongue so it doesn't look so harsh. Again, blend here. I didn't quite get all the way to the edge, so using the blend tool helps me get all the way to the edge of the tongue. And then, as I had said, if you have an area where you've gone over, like right here on the eye, I'll move this down so you can see it better. You can grab your eraser tool and go back and just clean up that little edge right there where I painted outside the line. Sometimes it's hard to see when you're doing the quick selection tool. Oh, I got to make sure I'm on my eye layer. And oh, I went a little too far, so I can undo with my Command Z and go back and do that again. Until I'm happy with the edge there. That looks pretty good to me. And then again, on this side, I'm going to just smooth it a little bit so it looks a little more natural. So again, with my smudge tool, I'm going to just smooth out that rough edge right there so it blends more naturally into the image. Once you're happy with the way that your image looks, you'll need to flatten all of your layers before you can save it. So I'm going to go to Layer, go all the way down to where it says Flatten Image, and now I can see I have my one layer and it's locked, and I can save my image as a JPEG at this time. Thank you.